Bring back to like the COVID happy hours.
I know, huh? All right, so let's go ahead and share this to my page. I'll tag you as well in there, Grace, so we can spread the word. It's happy hour time.
It is. I'm just sharing it to my page.
5:30. Tequila time. What's up, Radius Mortgage?
What's up? What's up? Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, you know, I've done speaking engagements and stuff like that, but I don't know why, by far, this is like the most excited I've been for an event for a while, because it's just so fun, you know? Like I was telling somebody, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to drink tequila today and just talk about real estate. And they're like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, we try to keep it as fun as possible. So this is actually our 27th episode. So I'm really grateful that you're here to join us, Grace, and talk a little bit about your journey in real estate, kind of your new endeavors, all that good stuff. So I'm pretty sure that we're live. We're live on Instagram. We're live on Facebook. Let me just go and double check and make sure that. If you guys have any questions for Grace or Tequila, let us know. We're going to actually be popping a bottle I've never tried before today. This is a Don Julio Primavera. So it's actually aged in orange wine casks. So we'll see how much of like orange this tastes like. I heard it's really, really good. I have not tried it, so I'll be reviewing it with you guys today. I'll let you know, Grace, what I think. We'll talk a little tequila, talk some real estate. I'll go from there. So let me go ahead and pause this music.
So I brought something for the girls, you know, so I brought a Flybird watermelon cucumber margarita. This is like you know, it's been a long week. It's Thursday. I don't have time to go to the store. It's like pre-poured, like ready to go.
Awesome. All right, so let me go ahead and share this to. Pretty sure that. Yep. Share it to my page. Let everybody know that we're live. All right, so I think we're good to go. I'm monitoring the channel on Facebook and here on IG. So any questions, let us know. Any questions for Grace, let me know. I'm going to be monitoring it, Grace. So I'll just throw questions at you. And if I see something come through the chat, okay. Yeah, I got it muted. I don't see anything coming in yet. But if it does, I'll let you know. But first and foremost, thank you again, Grace, for joining me. Appreciate you guys very, very much for joining us. This is now episode number 27 of Tequila and Transactions. And we started this during COVID just to kind of talk a little real estate while we had some downtime and ultimately do something a little fun and non-traditional. So for me, this is a blessing to still have this and have this platform and bring some amazing people like yourself, Grace, on to talk a little bit about what they do and just bring a little bit of insight into the market and stuff like that. So what I'll do first is I'll actually kick it off with a little bit of a promo video just to kind of get it going. I'll pass the mic over to you, Grace, let everybody know who you are, what you do. And then as you're introducing yourself, I'll pour myself a little tequila and then we'll join you and talk a little bit tequila, if that's cool with you.
Awesome, awesome.
All right, let me go ahead and share this. There we go. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys joining us. We have Grace Davis here with Radius Mortgage. She's going to be chatting about herself and her journey and anything that she'd like to share with us today. And then we're going to dive right in and talk tequila, which is probably what everybody's looking forward to on this this Thirsty Thursday. So Grace, I'll hand it over to you and we'll go from there.
Well, I feel like real estate can be a serious business, right? And so sometimes you gotta take a second to get centered, take the edge off, and reset. So I love that the show is on a Thursday. I feel like it's like that end of the week where there's always a transaction that's on fire or something's going on, right? And it's our role to fix that. And so I'm excited to like have some fun while we're talking about, you know, our daily lives in the real estate game. I feel like it's kind of a bit of a roller coaster. I was going to tell you what happened today. One of my clients is about to close on a house, and the seller decided that he wanted to leave to Japan and tell no one. And I'm like, yeah, it's a shot kind of thing, because I always have a solution. So like nowadays, like the virtual thing really helps, because they're going to line up a telenotary to sign the seller in Japan. But it's the kind of thing that you want to make sure, right, that on our side, like we're communicating, right, on all ends, because at the end of the day, for real estate, there's people behind each of those transactions, right? So anything that happens affects moving plans, moving checks, you know, time frames. So it really just kind of reminds you the importance of communication, even if it's something that we don't directly handle. So in this case, it was, you know, the seller who I as a bank don't necessarily ever speak to, because I'm representing the buyer in the lending side of things. But definitely, like I'm glad that everything kind of has a solution, and it's a perfect example of one of those curveballs that real estate can throw at you.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think, you know, we're forever adapting. And I always was told that real estate's there's never a dull moment, and you're going to make mistakes and things are going to go wrong. And I mean, what separates you from everybody else is how quickly you can find a solution and get things, you know, moving in the right direction. So
exactly. And you were telling me, you know, asking me a little bit about myself. I mean, it's been 17 years, and I promise you every single transaction is different. Not one transaction is the same, because everyone's finances are different. They work at different places, and their finances work in real time. So I really kind of pride myself on the number of cases that I've seen, because it prepares you for all the elements, right? Like I want to say at least probably close to 1,000 customers have crossed my desk at some point in time. And most of them we've been able to help. Some of them we've been giving, you know, we've given them advice for the long run. And it really helps me to be able to navigate when someone asks me a technical question in all things real estate. And so I actually used to be a real estate agent. We've given them advice back in like, and it really helps me be able to navigate 2013. And now, yeah, it's kind of breaking up.
There's a little bit of an echo, but I fixed it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I used to be a real estate agent, and I've been in your shoes, because on the other side, you're like, are we closing? When are we closing? And so on our end, you know, I like having control of the transaction to make sure that the other person that you're talking to that is saying, are we closing, that you have a solid yes from them, or that you can trust their answer, or the transparency that you're going to get when there's a problem, instead of like brushing it under the rug. So I did practice real estate for quite a while and transitioned into being a direct lender. And this year I decided that I was going back to the mortgage broker world because I see a lot more flexibility for my clients in the mortgage broker avenue than I do in the direct lending channel. Because in the direct lending channel, we've got one set, that's it. You burn yourself with one set, there's nothing you can do. In the mortgage world, at least we can take it somewhere else and see if we can find a solution for my client's, you know, situation. So that's
I think you have so much more, like, you know, I would say so much more resources available to you as well too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you know, we've built a lot of different things, like, and it takes time to put into place like excellent systems, you know, establish like that synergy that you get where you like, you know, you can trust each other and you're on the same team.
Mhm.
That takes time to build, you know, it's done through transactions and backing each other up. So that's been the biggest thing that, you know, I'm working towards. Like I'm big on trust, you know, so you have to trust your team. You have to feel like, you know, we're all on the same, we all have the same goal. And I feel like we're getting there. And I'm really excited, like with the people that I'm working with, you know, they're like, Michael's a stand-up guy, you know, I know that when he's gonna work on something for me, he's gonna give it 100% and vice versa. And I feel like it brings balance. Because for example, he's got to take off today at 5. Well, I'll take care of that call for you, you know, and it's backing each other up. Number one, to make sure the client is getting well taken care of. And then number two, you know, making sure you're aligning with the right companies, with the right banks to make sure that you're offering great service to your consumer.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. I think you definitely have to have that support with you and have people that align with your, you know, with your work ethic, with your ideals, and ultimately could you kind of have that, you know, that yin to your yang pretty much, you know what I mean? I mean, you need to step away as well. Obviously, you know, you have your son and Bill, and you guys have your own family. You guys have things that you guys want to do, not just all day, every day, do real estate. So it's kind of good to have us step away for a little bit, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely not always real estate. I do think that it's a big part of our world. But yeah, you definitely need to have the balance. What about you? What's going on your side?
Well, I'm actually getting ready to leave to the motherland and get more tequila, so I can live up to my name. You know what I mean? But I'm actually heading out tomorrow night. So I'm glad we were able to get this on today. And I mean, I love doing these things. I look forward to them every time. I mean, because it's just, you know, a couple of people in real estate chatting it up and talking, you know, what they're seeing and what they're doing, and just really kind of give their unbiased opinion and just be very authentic. And especially after you start sipping a couple of these, it gets real authentic up in here. So yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of fun. I'm really glad that I kept these up, because every time, like, I mean, I do them just to have fun, but then it's cool to see like other agents or, you know, other people in the industry, or even my clients are like, hey man, you do those tequila shows? And I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, oh man, I tune into those. I was like, oh shit, like I don't even really, I don't do this to get a following. I don't do this to,
No, you do it for fun, like you enjoy it.
I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I enjoy
Well,
it. I enjoy people, bringing people on. So
I had a talk with you like probably over 2 years ago, and you told me about your bar. So that's why I was like really fired up. Like, I'm gonna see that bar in person very
oh yeah.
soon.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Yeah, for sure. I think now that kind of COVID's over, and you know, we can kind of get together now and not be as, you know, people be a little bit more relaxed in a more relaxed environment. But yeah, I've been wanting to do a little cocktail thing here for sure. I think it's definitely needs to bring some people up in this, and not just me enjoy it all by myself. So
Did you pour the shot of the new tequila?
yeah, I did. I was letting it kind of get a little bit of oxygen, get it a little bit just to kind of get in a little bit more of a, I would say, not really a, what's it called, like an overpowering taste of it. Because usually when they're bottled up, you want to let it kind of like wine.
Yeah.
You want to let the bottle aerate a little bit and get a little bit of oxygen, so you're not getting all that alcohol all at once.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, it smells pretty good. I'll let you know right now what it tastes like.
Yeah.
You got your margarita over there, right?
Yeah, you know, I had to bring something out. And then you know, usually when you bring these out, they come with a story. So
yeah, they do.
I was just gonna tell you guys the story about like this particular bottle.
Go for it. Yeah, I mean, it's all right. I mean, Don Julio's a good brand, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I would drink this every single day, but it definitely has a little bit of an orange flavor at the end. It's a reposado, so it's not as aged as I like it. For me, I like it. And for me, I think the more aged it is, the smoother it is, and just for me and my palate. Some people are really like old school tequila drinkers, and they go for like virgin tequila. Like a lot of people like Casa Dragones, which is in like a little blue. It's in a blue box.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like straight virgin blanco tequila. People that love tequila gravitate more towards that, because it's more authentic raw, kind of not very, there's not much overkill there. Like a lot of, like nowadays, what we're seeing is a lot of experimentation. Like before, it was just like you put it in a barrel and it gets its color, and then they call it, as it ages, it goes reposado to the añejo. And now everyone's super into the clear tequilas, because what they're doing is just distilling it, removing color, removing pretty much all the additives and whatever else is in there to really give you a smooth tequila. So I mean, it just depends on your palate. It's like I tell people all the time, it's like tequila is just like wine. There's so much different variations of it. There's so much different types. Each one's a little different. You just got to try one and see which works best for you and stick with it. But they're coming out with so many different bottles all the time that's hard to keep up sometimes. But every time I go to Mexico, they have something new, like oh, this is the new bottle, this is what everybody's drinking. So like, then I got to get on the hype and see if it's real or not. So
you're like, okay, hold on, what's this about? Is it worth trying? So do you go to like the distilleries, like you go to like little tequila shops, or like what's your process? Like, how do you know?
Yeah, I mean, I do love to go. It's a lot of fun. It's just, for me, it's a little bit farther away from where my family's from. My family's from Los Altos de Jalisco. So we're kind of in the mountain ranges of Jalisco. So we're about an hour inland from the airport in Guadalajara. So we're kind of traveling a little bit south and into Mexico, which tequila is on the other side. It's like I'd say about 30, 45 minutes north. From us, it's about an hour and a half drive. But I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, if you have a driver, I mean, always I would recommend don't drink and drive, especially in Mexico. I mean, even though people do it all the time, I'd just highly discourage you doing that on long trips. But definitely get yourself a driver and enjoy yourself, because it's a lot of drinking, it's eating, it's a whole day event. I go every once in a while. We're actually going for my brother's wedding. We're going to do that the 2 days before, because you need a day to recover after a day of drinking, especially in tequila. We're going Thursday, Friday, we're gonna chill, and then Saturday is his wedding. So, but for me, I'm super blessed and also very, I would say, spoiled in the fact that like where my family's from in Los Altos, like that's where tequila's bred. Like that's, there's people that make their own local tequilas. You just have a lot in that region.
It's part of your family history, it sounds like where you're from, like, I mean, I feel like an hour and a half is a little far, but doable, so I mean, most of the time, especially as frequently as you go to Mexico, you probably have like the person that usually drives you around. It's like the same guy, by name, like I usually like end up making friends with people, and I'm like, Mr. Alfredo, what's up, and they're everywhere. So no, that sounds like such a good time.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And yeah, I mean, since tequila has to be grown specifically in Jalisco or surrounding areas, like there's a map and borders of where it needs to be grown to be considered tequila. Some parts of Michoacan, Zacatecas, I think there's a few little states within that region that also have the ability to grow it and call it tequila. If not, it's called like something licor de agave, or like, and it's
so they have to name it something else.
Correct. And then the old school way, the original way that's done in Oaxaca, is all mezcal. So that's the old indigenous way of distilling alcohol from the agave. And then they took it a step further to kind of roast the agave, distill it, and create the whole process of tequila. So the processes are a little different, but it comes from the same quote unquote plant, but obviously there's different species of agave, so it's all different, and they all have different taste profiles and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean,
is it the conditions, like the weather conditions, that create like
the soil? There's a lot of, when Jalisco, where we're from, when you drive in, it's not typical soil. You don't see black dirt, it's red. There's a lot of rich minerals and clay and different things in that soil that really allow the agave to flourish. So like for me, it's like when I drive into my hometown or where we're from, typically you would see fields of, like branches or whatever it is. And nowadays agave is so much in demand, because tequila is just so in demand here in the United States and throughout the world, that now every time you drive into anywhere, you're seeing just hills and fields of just agave everywhere. So it's pretty beautiful. It's like, you're driving into Napa Valley and you see all the grapevines. Like when you drive into Jalisco, even when you get into the airport, it's like everywhere you see, you're just like anywhere that there's soil, there's a cactus, agave, there's something being grown there for sure.
There was this show on Netflix and it's called 𝘰𝘬𝘢𝘗, and it's about like this
Oh, I
like
love that show.
family, like that was my show.
Yeah, I love that show.
They used to like have a factory or something like that and they get robbed. I mean, it's like a telenovela, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a lot of drama. There's a lot of drama in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it sounds like tequila is like an experience. And that's why I wanted to like bring out some stuff and like kind of just share a little bit. Like for me, usually it's like I have like, some of my best memories, like I'm going on vacation and I'm like, we're having like the drink there and stuff like that. So this particular bottle, one of my favorite things, just to share a little bit about me, is Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, hands down. And so usually you want to bring out like a special bottle of something for a special occasion. And so like last year, this one is our Halloween party, which I kind of want to make a tradition because I usually make sure that we're doing something big for Halloween. Like we dressed up as Star Wars one year. Last year I was Cruella de Vil, and we usually like invite our friends and stuff like that. And, some of the team, like colleagues, friends, out. And, it just kind of rung a bell for me today. I was like, okay, like what is, tequila for you? And it's usually like a celebration and you bring out a special bottle when you're having a super good time and you want to remember it and make it super memorable. So, I feel like that's what tequila is for me. And, that's why I wanted to bring out a tequila clase azul reposado. It's like one of those like special bottles that you want to bring. I feel like you're more of an expert, so you probably know like all of the, different styles of tequila that are used for different celebrations, but I feel like this is a popular one.
Yeah, it's gone very, very popular over the years, Grace. I mean, in the beginning, they were just a little company that had a vision. And I think the most beautiful thing is the time they take to make those bottles. Like you're talking about, like for a glass bottle, it's unique on its own, but you're talking about a beautiful ceramic bottle that's hand painted. It has its own story and its own journey within itself. So the crazy thing is that the women who paint those bottles are in Guadalajara and also in the town where my family has their home in Tepatitlan, Jalisco. So in Tepatitlan, a lot of the women, and this is the crazy thing, that I think a majority or most of the people they hire to paint them are women and young girls and girls who are studying in school and whatnot. And I believe, don't quote me on this, because one of my cousins is one of their accountants for Clase Azul. So I get all the insights. And he said that they only employ single mothers and women who are in school to help them pay for school and to help the single mothers to pay for their children. So it's a really cool thing that they do. Clase Azul is getting such a huge company now, and they're actually, I don't know if I should be telling you this and putting it out in the world, but I'm going to do it anyways. Someone's going to probably call me and hush me up, but they're actually building a huge like adventureland in Tepatitlan. So what they're building right now is an hacienda, which they're going to have a restaurant there, tasting room, and then eventually Clase Azul is going to take it a step further and actually build a hotel there. So they're going to have an experience where you fly in and you have your weekend booked, and you're going to stay there at the hacienda. They're going to have dinner paired with tequila, and they're going to do all kinds of, fun events. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I love about Mexico.
So
is I feel like it's definitely still like developing, I'm personally from El Salvador, and the same thing's happening in my country, like where there's a ton of developments. People are buying a lot of real estate out there, building properties, renting out a bunch of Airbnbs. And it's really nice to see like the country growing and developing, and like seeing like companies offer opportunities to like young women, single mothers, like stuff like that, to keep the country coming up, and I personally, like, that's super close to home for me. Like I haven't been back to El Salvador, so I admire how frequently you go back to Mexico. So I definitely like want to make it a goal to like visit my country more.
Yeah, I definitely would say that I'm blessed to be able to do it, Grace. I mean, for me, it's like I love my country, I love my culture, where my family's from. And for me, I mean, Latino America is beautiful. And I think it's beautiful that we have one language and we can travel to many, many countries and be understood and be able to, kind of jump into the culture and communicate and whatnot. Yeah, for me, I think it was kind of a wake up call when, all throughout college and starting my career, I just really focused everything on just building my company and building my business. And I kind of got a wake up call that it's like, I'm not getting any younger, and I have definitely, limited time here on this planet and want to make the best of it. So for me, I was like, I got to go, I got to keep going. And Mexico is so beautiful and diverse as all of Latino America, but there's so much places I have not seen in Mexico. And so for me, I've made it pretty much kind of like my bucket list is to try to go at least visit one new place in Mexico a year. So I've been blessed to do it these last 2 years. And COVID, I was like, everyone's scared to go out. And I was like, you know what? I'm young. I got some friends that are going to
explore, or like
my cousins want to go. We're like, let's go.
And go hang out over there, right? Like, even if you're like quarantined for a little while, like back then, like you're hanging out with your family, you're there, you're somewhere where you want to be. Because I feel like that's what was so constraining about COVID, is like people felt like they couldn't go anywhere, and so, I mean, for me, like, I'm definitely like a firm believer, like life doesn't stop. So you have to live it, and traveling is like one of the biggest things, because you don't take anything with you, but you do have your memories and you found all of that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, and that's why I like to travel and create new memories and go out with family and friends who want to go out and create those memories with me, just have a good time and do something different. And yeah, I was fortunate. Last year I went to Chiapas, which is one of the most beautiful places I've been to in Mexico. It's literally very diverse in landscapes, like from literally they have their own Grand Canyon called El Cañón de 𝘛𝘦𝘢𝘗𝘓. It's the craziest thing ever. And from there we go to like waterfalls and all this other stuff. And then they have like all these lakes called Montebello. There's like 37 lakes in one area right near the border of Guatemala. So it's so crazy, so much different things. And then this year, actually, we went to Oaxaca, which was an amazing experience, probably some of the best food I've had. And then we actually visited a beach on the coast in Oaxaca called Huatulco. In my opinion, better than Cancun, better than Cabo, better than Vallarta, hands down, probably one of the most beautiful beaches and beautiful people I've ever seen. And I felt really, really comfortable there. Everyone was very, very humble and welcoming, and I can't wait to go back. So I tell all my friends and everybody I know, if you haven't looked into it and you haven't thought about it, or if you don't even know about it, Huatulco in Oaxaca is probably one of the coolest places you can go visit. And it's that same area that has that very famous lagoon where the ocean meets their swamp and created a lagoon. And that's where they have the illuminescent algae. It's the trippiest thing in the world.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got to
so cool.
Did you get to see?
So the crazy thing was that it was a full moon and we're on the boat over there and the guy's like, oh man, this sucks. It's a full moon. You guys aren't gonna be able to see anything. I'm like, I was so mad. I was like, we came all the way out here. And he's like, don't worry. He goes, us Mexicans are super, super smart. We think of these things. And I was like, what is he talking about? So when we get there, they built these like plastic huts on the water. So you have to go into the plastic hut and it's all black plastic. So you can go in there, it's like pitch black.
It lights up.
Yeah. So it covers everything as far as like, any light that's coming in from the moon or whatever. So you're in there and it kind of trips you out a little bit because you're going in, like you're jumping off the boat into the water, going in these little houses made of plastic. And for a little bit, you get kind of like anxiety because you're going in, you don't know what the hell's in there. And then when we go in there, I just hear my cousin go, Rick, is that you? And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? He goes, bro, don't get scared. I was like, I'm not scared, but what the hell is this? Like, what's going on? And he's just like, hey man, just start waving your hands. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I look down, I start waving my hands and it's like blue, like
luminescent.
Yeah, it was so cool. So like you go in there, you start waving your hands or kicking your feet and it all starts, it activates the algae and it glows blue. It's so cool. So cool.
I feel like I've done like the more touristic version of Mexico, right? So like I haven't done that. Like I've done Sayulita,
Oh, it's
Vallarta.
beautiful there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so those were like to me more authentic, right? Because you're not
Mhm.
like a commercialized area where you're going shopping. This year, we usually like to go back at least twice a year. So we're gonna go to Tulum. So we're going back to Tulum in
Nice.
September. So I'll be out there like around the 10th. And that's one of my favorite places. But I do want to see like the real Mexico, So I feel like there's the tourist side and then there's the real Mexico, which is, what you're talking about. How many states have you visited?
Uh, so I've been to Michoacan, been to Zacatecas. Zacatecas like borders Jalisco, like literally on the other side of us is a little, well, just a pueblito, kind of like us, called Nochislan. Nochislan is part of Zacatecas. So I've been to Zacatecas, Michoacan, Jalisco, Oaxaca, and also Quintana Roo, where Cancun is,
Quintana Roo, yeah.
and yeah, and then where Chiapas is, I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember the state where Chiapas is, but yeah, I've been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 7 states, and there's so
Like,
much other places to go.
I've done like Cozumel. I've done like the ruins. So we've done all of the ruins for the most part. And then Isla Mujeres is one of my favorite places. Just a fun time because you get on like a $40 golf cart and go
Yeah.
around the whole island. It's like just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
you're just driving
Like,
through.
yeah, like 360, you have a little tequila in your hand. Just kidding, but yeah, so I mean, for me, like I've done more like the tourist experience, and I've done that with my son too, which is kind of fun, where like he's gotten to see some of that stuff, and I'm really proud of that because I didn't get a chance to travel when I was his age, right? So I kind of like want to make it a point for him to see the world. So like I want him to see it all. Like I want him to see like the pyramids. I want him to go to Europe. Like that's what I feel like we work for, is like to make sure that he gets to have all those experiences when he's older.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's why we work so hard to give people that we love the things we didn't get and be able to experience those things with them too. So that's definitely a beautiful thing that you're able to share with him for sure, because he'll never forget it. So
Exactly. So, I mean, I know that I love that you guys are really like relationship driven in your brokerage. So tell me like a little bit more about it. Like how do you guys operate? How many people are on your team?
yeah, so Boulevard actually was just a kind of thought, for us. We were at J. Rockcliffe for many, many years. And J. Rockcliffe it was just at that point in time, they were starting to pivot. We had a feeling like they were just not adapting with the times. It was a very expensive brokerage to be a part of. And I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. I made a lot of great connections there, met a lot of great people, and just had an amazing experience. But, for us, we were growing as a team, and we were just 3 gentlemen pretty much on a team. It was Joshua Simkin England, Michael Briones, and myself. So it was just 3 of us kind of on a team. And then we started to grow, and we grew pretty quickly to about 10 team members. And we're like, you know what, we need to do something different, and we need to do something that is going to be more beneficial to not only the team, but to our clients. And so that's when, Compass was making noise, EXP was making noise. This is back like 2018, 2019, when we were thinking about making a move. And unfortunately, we just didn't get too sold on any of those companies. And for us, we really wanted to do something of our own and be a little bit more boutique. And then we got the call from Side Real Estate, and they kind of blew us out of the water on what they stood for and what they were all about. And a lot of the conversation was all about like, how can they help us and how can they help us grow and be more efficient. And for us, it was really refreshing to know and to hear more than anything that a company was willing to invest in us and help us launch our company and be the kind of the behind the scenes engine to power everything and help us get to where we wanted to be. And it was all about support and technology and everything else that comes with it. And plus, it's very inexpensive to be a part of Side. We don't really pay all the bells and whistles like a lot of other people do. I mean, it's very transparent. There's no like hidden fees or anything like that. And we get a lot of support and a lot of tech and a lot of other things to assist us in our daily business. So for us, we're always been a really tight knit group, and always brought on people that have, kind of the same ideals, work ethic, values as we do. And we've always kind of stood by that. We're a no bullshit zone, and we're just here to sell real estate and help people. And we don't like the drama. We're not a bunch of, high school kids, and we're just, trying to get along and help one another out and just continue to grow the company. So we went from being, $40-50 million team to now being over 100 million to 150 million now, this year. So we're doing it really, really well. And now we have 16 team members. 8 of those are mine, or I'm one. Well, my team is 7 individuals plus myself, so I'm 8. So I'm literally half the company. And
Wow.
I actually, So I grew super, super fast, and it was all really organic.
Congrats,
And
man. I mean, I feel like,
thank you.
and like you're super low key. So it's not like you really are super boisterous about it. Like, and I love people like that because you're just about your business, and like you chill, like you're hanging in Mexico, you're closing real estate deals, and you're expanding,
Yeah.
So it to me, it's all about, staying true to yourself, right? And not necessarily like image is great, but what's behind it? Like, who are you as a person, and what are you about? And I feel like for me, like my core ideals are my family. I care a lot about my friends. So like when somebody sends, their sister, their brother, their mom to me, I'm like, that's a compliment. Like you trust me with that big of a milestone, right? Like sometimes you're gonna buy $1 million house, and I feel like we forget in the Bay Area that it's a $1 million house that you're buying, and so you should get the white glove experience and all the bells and whistles that come with it. So that I feel like that's how serious we take it. That when you have a question and you're gonna spend $1 million, like I'm pretty sure you're gonna want us, to be available to you and make sure that you feel confident in, the advice that we're giving you. So I get the same vibe from you, and I really like appreciate that, in you as an individual.
Well, thank you, Grace. I appreciate that very much. And likewise to you. I definitely like to surround myself with people who are authentic and not fake. And I think for me, early on in my career, I try to be a people pleaser and try to like do everything under the sun to try to like attract all these people and try to be kind of like, the realtor that helps every single person. And it's impossible to help every single person. For me, it took me about a year to really realize that I needed to be my authentic self. And ultimately I needed to cater to the people I wanted to work with and people who wanted to work with me. So ultimately I just started being myself. Like I didn't feel like I needed to dress up in a suit and every day. That's not me. Like, of course I'll wear a suit to an important occasion. But I feel like I don't need to put on a suit to cater to my clients. I like to be laid back and chill, but I know my stuff. I pride myself in knowing the business and knowing the ins and outs and being creative and aligning myself with individuals who are, top performers in this industry, and really aligning myself with people who also know their stuff like me. I always try to work with people who work very similar to what I do and are very client driven and transparent, work hard, and willing to pick up the phone and not not be one of those people that like, oh, it's Friday at 4 o'clock, I'm leaving, I'll talk to you on Monday kind of thing. We have things that we need to do. So for me, it's like I'm very, very focused on helping my clients. So I'm very, very fortunate to be in this industry and have that reputation. And I like to keep it real. To people who meet me online or people who meet me in real life, like, oh dude, you're the same person. Like that's why I like to hear it, and that's why I like to be. I don't ever sugarcoat it. I don't like to be anybody different. I'm Ricky the realtor. I like to drink tequila, help people buy real estate, sell real estate, and that's what I do. So
well, you got to do a cheers to that then.
Yeah, salud. Well, Grace, we're getting close to about 45 minutes here, so I don't want to keep you too long, but ultimately just kind of wanted to pick your brain a little bit and see what you think about where this market's going, and see if you think about any opportunities that, obviously buyers right now have a huge advantage.
I think that's
and what would you say? And what would you say to the buyers that are kind of afraid to like jump in right now? Because obviously me and you both know that this is probably a really good time for those buyers that may have not been able to get in to get in now after these, all these price reductions, and sellers are being a little bit more willing to kind of meet them halfway. So,
I mean, I feel like sometimes the media can sensationalize things, right? And it's never as gloom and doom as it sounds. Personally, like, loan officer hat aside, right? If I were a consumer, would I want prices to dip 30-40%? Hell yeah, of course I do, right? Why? Because I'm gonna save.
mhm,
But we also have to look at the economical factors. Where
Right.
are we in the industry? And look at your friends, look at, your parents. What position are they in? Would they be in a position to lose a home right now? I highly doubt that. And the reason is that there's a lot of equity built up in these properties in California, so it can sustain a 20, 30, 40, $50,000 decrease in price.
mhm,
And guess what? Some of these people don't have to sell, right? So they can just hang on to their house. Number one, they've got a good loan. It's 30-year fixed. A lot of people took advantage of the downswing in interest rates, refinanced. I just talked to a friend of mine, 2.5 interest rate. Why would you get rid of that?
Right.
And so what I'm saying, right, is in this market, when people say crash, right, I think that's a little extreme, right? I don't think that that's the kind of market we're in. I think that for sure there's been a downswing in the market, and we needed that, right? Because from an affordability standpoint, it's very important that people feel comfortable with their mortgage payment. We don't want them overextended. We want to make sure that you can pay your monthly payment, right? And secondly, like, the bank's just simply not going to allow you to overextend yourself. The formula is a little less than half of your monthly income can go towards a mortgage payment, right? So that's not necessarily what we take home as a consumer. And the bank will look at, the total income. So, there's definitely like some wiggle room on things like that. But I feel that the buyers that are going to purchase in this market are young families that in 30 years, they're going to have a home that's paid off regardless of what's going on. And they're going to refinance. Statistically, people refinance between the first 3 to 5 years. And they were doing that at 4% interest rates, and they're going to do that at 5% interest rates. Because the other side to that is, if they're coming in with 3 or 5% down, once their house builds up equity, then they can get rid of the PMI and get into a decent interest rate. So they're still going to save, and they're still going to have an opportunity to get into a reasonable payment. And those are the kind of transactions that we're doing this summer and this winter. So for my people that are purchasing this year, I would say look at the numbers, look at the facts, go off of what's actually happening, and don't let the media fool you, right? In, putting fear into what's going on. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, if you're paying $3,000 in rent, that should go to a mortgage that's at least getting a lower principal balance every single month, as opposed to, in a year from now, if you're renting, you're still going to be, in the same place. So I definitely see a lot of opportunity in this market. That's not for everyone. So I'm not going to give the same advice to everybody, right? Like, some people are okay with where they are, and it has to make sense for each individual. And we have to analyze your case to really make sure that we're giving you some solid advice, both short-term and long-term.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I think it's always situational, and some buyers this is probably the best time for them, and some, maybe they're better off waiting. But until they actually sit down with you and review the numbers and game plan and strategize, they won't know. And I think the thing is that, yeah, exactly, the media's kind of scaring everybody a little bit. Everyone's kind of sitting back and waiting to see what happens and thinking the whole world's going to fall apart. And I just don't think that that's going to happen. I think we're just kind of seeing the market stabilize a little bit. And who knows? I mean, if interest rates do take another dip, who's to say that the market's not going to take off again? It happened right before the pandemic. Interest rates went up and everything kind of got a little chill. And then boom, here comes, the pandemic, interest rates drop, and everyone's like, buying frenzy. So the market's the market. It changes every single day. Things go up, things go down. It's just, you got to stay educated and work with people who are very educated and, have great reputations and are very knowledgeable in this industry, and trust them to guide you. So,
I mean, I'll just share one last story. I bought in August of 2018, and then home started to dip that same month. And we were worried. We said, okay, did we make a mistake? Like, is this home going to dip? And then the pandemic happened, right? And the home went up, and we refinanced it, and we kept a nice low rate. So it just goes to show you, even us as industry professionals, we don't have the crystal ball, but we made sure that we got into a payment we could pay come hell or high water, right? So it's about not overextending yourself. And I feel like that's my message today when it comes to the market.
Well, that's perfect advice, and I think that's a great note to end on. So, Grace, I appreciate you very, very much. If people need to find you, where can they find you? And obviously, I'll be tagging you and sending you this video after, because I recorded it. So once I download it, I'll send it over to you so you have it. And but yeah, how can people find you and reach out to you so they can get started on their journey to home ownership?
Find me on social media. I'm under Loans by Grace on both Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully TikTok coming soon.
Nice. Looking forward to it. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Grace. I'll see you soon. When I'll get back from Mexico, we'll definitely link up, and hopefully I'll have some tequila to share with you. So.
All right. Take care.
All right, thank you. Bye.